time to grab your aviator glasses and your bomber jacket, and we are going live and talking about Top Gun Maverick. All right, so just like I told you guys earlier in the week, I saw it yesterday. I finally got a chance to go to a theater and check it out. 34 years plus two if you count COVID that it took for this movie to come out. So we all know the story. It was supposed to actually come out in June of 2020. Tom Cruise made an appearance at the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con to officially announce it. And so here's the thing. I got some funny stuff to show you here too. Well, okay, so this is the official review for Top Gun Maverick. So I'm really excited to talk about this movie, and just to let everybody know, if you tune in to this broadcast, this is a spoiler review. So I'm going to talk about, because there's no other way to talk about. I could, but I don't. I usually don't do spoilers in my reviews, but to fully talk about how exciting and what a true cinematic experience this movie is, I got to talk about all kinds of good stuff here today. So there's the man, Tom Cruise, returning as Pete Maverick Mitchell. We all know the original Top Gun. I actually did a live stream earlier this week where I talked about the original movie and how iconic it is in cinematic history. And I also had some fun talking about some other aerial combat movies like Iron Eagle, Flight of the Intruder. I even showed a clip to Warbirds, which is this really cheesy, forgettable 1991 action movie that basically just ripped off footage from Iron Eagle. So I had a lot of fun talking about that. So we talked about the original and how iconic it is. So we're not going to delve into the original. So I've already talked about it and discussed things about that. So this is all about the sequel now. So I got to see it. Now, unfortunately, I did not have an IMAX near me. I mean, I think the closest one was like 50 miles away. So I'm like, my wife, she's like, gas prices. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So, but we did see it on the biggest screen we could. And the sound was awesome. So it was still a great experience to see this on the big screen. Now, before I officially start my review, I kind of want to go over some fun things here. So here's an article from July 18th of 2019. This is when San Diego Comic-Con was going on that year. This is a year before COVID and everything shut down. This was my first teaser post for Top Gun Maverick. So 2019. So just to show you what a long road this has taken. So there he is. And I also shared the video of Tom Cruise presenting it. But this is the first teaser trailer that that Tom Cruise brought to the Comic-Con that year to officially psych everybody up for 2020. And we all know 2020 never happened. 2020 did happen, but for all the wrong reasons. So I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to show the trailers here. So this is the original teaser trailer for Top Gun Maverick.
30+ years of service. Combat medals, citations. Only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years. Yet you can't get a promotion, you won't retire. Despite your best efforts, you refuse to die. You should be at least a 2-star admiral by now. Yet here you are. Captain. What is that? It's one of life's mysteries, sir. is inevitable, Maverick. You're kind of headed for extinction.
Maybe so, sir. But not today.
So that was the initial teaser trailer for Top Gun Maverick. So as you all know, that didn't happen. 2020 didn't happen. So it's funny because I have my must-see flicks. I think I put it on too. I put it on for 2020 and 2021. I'm pretty sure I put it on for 2022. So this has literally been on my best must-see list for 3 years straight. So then we all know COVID happened. So let me get through. Okay, so this is the second official trailer for Maverick. So this is when. So what date was this? So this was December 16th of 2019. So again, June 2020 was still the date when this trailer hit the air. A little bit longer, a little bit more of an extended trailer here. So let's watch this one.
Your instructor is one of the finest pilots this program has ever produced.
I love the music, how they,
His exploits
incorporate the original Harold Faltermeyer,
legendary.
with the new twins to it.
What he has to teach you may very well mean the difference between life and death.
Your reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
They're called orders, Maverick.
Okay, so now it's May. So
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking. Today's exercise is dogfighting.
Two birds with one? Hey, you gotta be kidding.
okay, so yeah, so now May 27th, they upped it up from the initial June release date to May 27th to coincide with the Memorial Day weekend for that year. So now here's the I believe the first one. Eject was my main title. Top Gun Maverick switches releases from June to Christmas, confirming that the summer is officially canceled. That's what I wrote. So yeah, so this is when everything was getting canceled left and right, and it was just like, yeah, everything is. So that's one. Now, here's the next one. Top Gun Maverick won't fly until July 2021. We all know that didn't happen. Paramount Pictures delays Top Gun Maverick and Mission Impossible sequels. Paramount delays Tom Cruise's Top and Mission Impossible. So again, April, September. So it was just like, holy cow. It was like 4 or 5 times this movie was canceled. So 2 years in waiting from the initial release date. So 36 years all together that we've been waiting for this movie. Now, I'm not going to lie. This movie will speak to you more. The sequel I'm talking about will speak to you more if you were there when the first movie opened, and you were there from the beginning. I'm not saying that, if you were able to enjoy the movie throughout the years, or, like my wonderful wife, she was born in 1985, so she wasn't even one when the movie came out. That's how much older I am. So yeah, but we watched it earlier this week, and of course, she remembered liking it. She had seen the movie. My friend had not seen it at all. And I ask him to this day, how can I be friends with you? But this movie will speak to you more if you were there from the beginning, and you had a more, symbolic pull with the movie, because you were there opening weekend, or you saw it on the big screen, when it first came out theaters, got it on VHS, and have since watched it 150,000 times since it initially came out. So yeah, so not to say that I was excited to finally go to the movie theater. This is one day I was, because as y'all know, it's been a hard year for me, and with my neurological disorder and my shoulder. It's been one bang after the other, and bills and everything, and medical bills and stuff like that. So was a day that was coming for a long time, and I was excited to forget about all my problems and watch Maverick back in the saddle again. And okay, so let's talk about sequels. So there are those few sequels that are a rare breed that surpass the original. So we're talking Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Aliens. Those are the two big ones for me, and most other people, where the sequel outdid the original in scope and scale, and just blew the original away with a bigger, badder, time. I'm going to say that, again, you can disagree with me. I mean, you have your right. This is what this country's built on. But I'm going to say that this is probably the best sequel made ever. Yep, I said it. Okay, so we're even going like, Terminator 2, awesome. It's a classic. It's an iconic movie. Aliens, I can't say enough good things. It's probably in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. But Top Gun Maverick, they just did so many. So again, I'm not gonna say any movie's perfect, because you could sit there all day and nitpick little things. But even with nitpicking the things, and I will talk about maybe some of the things that you can call a negative. This is a near perfect movie. This is probably one of the best cinematic experiences you will have in a movie theater. Until maybe, I don't, whatever they're doing with the Avatar sequels, if that, blows it away or whatever. But to say, don't wait to watch this movie on your screen. Even if you have a big screen TV, like a huge TV, you don't wait to go see Top Gun Maverick until it hits streaming or Blu-ray or 4K or whatever. You need to see this movie on the big screen with the Dolby, surround sound, vibrating your chair. And, it's just a truly, I call it a Mach 10 induced religious cinematic experience. I think that's going to be the title for my review when I put it on my website, and it's just editors know I'm also going to be doing a Top Gun Maverick review for my audio podcast as well. So you're not only getting it here on YouTube, but you're going to get it over on Anchor and Spotify as well. I'm going to do that later. So I'm going to do a separate podcast for those of you guys that listen to my podcast. So let's watch the last trailer now. So again, to officially get us going, and I will delve into the story, the pacing, the action, and the character. I'm gonna probably save the action for. I'm gonna skip letters. As you all know, I've adopted the space review system that J-Man over, who's a wonderful guy that I teamed up with Owen and the Action Elite, and he does his own streaming stuff. So make sure you check out his YouTube channel. So plus for me having a neurological disorder, how he created this system, it's easier for me to focus and to keep things together. So it helps me, and J-Man, I thank you for coming up with this system, because it helps people with neurological disorders. So there's a good advertisement for your for your space review. So here is the last one. So this is when it was definitely coming out. Yay! May 27th was the date. It's finally coming. No more delays, unless COVID came back and was obliterating, 90% of the population, but this movie is finally coming out. So this is the last trailer we got for Top Gun Maverick.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What do we have here? Yeah, here I thought we were special.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hey man, whatever.
Okay,
I love that
what's
part.
this?
That part's in the movie, by the way. And pretty much the trailer, there isn't anything that's not in
Everyone
the
here's
movie,
best
which is
there
good.
is. Who the hell are they gonna get to teach us?
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You were not my first choice. You were here at the request of Admiral Kazansky, aka Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher.
Just want to manage expectations.
I love that line. That's my favorite. Just want to manage expectations. Then he shoots up through the tube.
Aviators. This is your captain speaking.
And we're off.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen.
Not even him. You think up there you're dead. Believe me.
My dad believed in you. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
Someone's not coming back from this.
Those are your pilots. Anything happens to them. You'll never forgive yourself.
No turning back now.
Having any fun yet?
There it is. Finally, it is here upon us, everybody. So let's get into the review now. Okay, again, spoiler alert. This is going to be a spoiler review because, like I said, I cannot talk about this movie the way I want to unless I get into the real nitty gritty as a lifelong fan of, well, not lifelong. I was around 12 or 13 when it came out, so almost a lifelong fan of Top Gun. So again, the original resonated with me. It came out right when I was getting into my teens, so it was right in my wheelhouse. And I was really starting to get into action movies, and everything. And this is an action movie. Don't let anybody tell you wrong. I mean, some people say that Top Gun is not an action movie. And it is. It's an action drama, I guess you could say. But it is an action movie. This finale in this movie, and again, I'm jumping the gun, best finale ever. I mean, you can't, oh my God, I can't even do it justice by talking to it. But let's talk about story. So Top Gun Maverick, obviously 36 years have passed, or 34, probably when the movie was supposed to come out. So over 3 decades have passed since the original one. Maverick is still in the Navy, although he's, through all his years of doing things his way, being the lone rebel, the maverick, if you will, he's gotten himself into trouble numerous times. And one thing I loved about this is him and Iceman, played by the great Val Kilmer, have become really good friends, like brothers, since the first one. They were at odds with each other, in the first one because they were in competition with each other when the first one came out, but now they're and it's basically Iceman, who is the commander of the Pacific Fleet. So he's a top dog. He's top dog in the Navy. He's pretty much bailed Maverick out his whole career. So Maverick's only a captain at this point, and that's, you see that in the first trailer. with the great Ed Harris, who plays Admiral Kane. He's like, but here you are, captain. It's like, and Maverick's one of those guys that doesn't want to be promoted. He doesn't want to have that much, he doesn't need that much power. He just wants to fly jets. He just wants to fly jets. And that's his thing. So now he's on. His assignment now is trying to prove to the Navy that man operated planes or jets are still viable in combat, because Admiral Kane, played by Ed Harris, he's wanting to nix humans flying planes in for drones. We pretty much, drones are, and even now dogfighting is a lost art, because now all the pilots do is they drop bombs from high altitude, so there's no real dogfighting, and the skills have been lost. So Maverick is one of those old horses, that says, this is still needed. You can only trust technology to a certain point. So they're testing a new jet, and the thing is they need to get it to go Mach 10, which is to show, the Admiral and the Navy that, humans can still do this. But of course, Kane shuts it down. And before he gets there to do it, Maverick, he's like, well, he's not here yet. So he's like, if they want Mach 10, I'll give them Mach 10. So at the beginning, he does it. He delivers Mach 10. But of course, you think, that would get anybody kicked out of the Navy, because he was coming to shut him down. But now, then that great scene, and Ed Harris is only in that one scene, or the two scenes where, he comes in, he's watching Cruise fly the stealth jet, and in the scene where he's talking to him, and that's it. But even though he's only in that one scene, a great scene from the great Ed Harris, and he tells Maverick that, he's like I should be kicking you out of the Navy, but I'm sending you back to Top Gun. You have orders to go back to Top Gun. And we find out later that it was Iceman who asked for him. Okay, so now Cruise is back. I'm sorry, Maverick. I keep calling him Cruise because that's his real name. But Pete Maverick Mitchell is back at Top Gun, where it all started. And the funny thing is, before he gets into meeting the pilot. So here's the thing. So he gets there, and John Hamm plays Admiral Cyclone Simpson. He's probably the real antagonist of the movie, because he's the one that feels Maverick is a done deal. He's like, why? Because you even hear him in the trailer. He's like, Admiral Kaczynski thinks you still have something to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine. So he thinks Maverick is bad for the Navy, and would give him the time of day if it wasn't for Iceman Kaczynski. And so basically what turns out is they brought Maverick back to teach the next generation of Top Gun graduates, because there's this special operations mission where there's a country. They never say what the country's name is. It's smart. It's just a country, a rogue country. Is they're defying the NATO, and they're bringing online a nuclear plant, uranium plant that's gonna, help their nuclear program. And so now that needs to be shut down. Now the only problem is it's basically a suicide mission for for 4 planes. There's a team leader, and 3 other planes have to basically go into this cavern and fly through the mountains, and then hit a target that's only 3 meters wide. And it's in this cavern and I'll do the visual. So the cavern goes like this, and then goes straight up. And so basically they have to drop their bombs and then shoot up and try to get up over this high altitude cliff, before they black out. So it's an intense suicide mission, and he's got to train these men and women to do this in like only 3 weeks, because that's when the uranium plant is going to go online. So that's the main gist. So now, the stage is set. Maverick's back. He's gonna be the teacher or the instructor. And he goes to a bar, before the day before, he is to instruct, and he runs into, and this was a great nostalgia. And again, Top Gun Maverick does some nostalgic, but it doesn't like force feed it to you, which is great, because a lot of people hate when nostalgia is force fed to you, and I am to a point, but it has the right amount of nostalgia. Now this is one of the best parts. Jennifer Connelly's in it, and she plays Penny Benjamin. We all Top Gun enthusiasts know who Penny Benjamin is, from the first movie. He's the one, or she's the one that Maverick took up in his jet, So we get to meet Penny Benjamin, played by Jennifer Connelly, and you can see that there's still sparks between them. Now, the one weird thing was, and again, I've only seen it once, so if you saw it and I did it, they never explained what happened to him with Charlotte, or Charlie, played by Kelly McGillis in the first movie. She was just totally dropped. There's like, obviously it didn't work out, because he's not with her, after all these years. So, but I guess the filmmakers were just like, that's what happened. But they never even mentioned her. I mean, you kind of see her in a flashback scene, but not, it's cut, So that was kind of interesting. So Penny Benjamin. So that's the love interest for Maverick in this movie, and it's a really good side plot. It's, and again, they do it all the time. Where there's a love interest, but it was really sweet and sincere, and you could tell that the two characters really, are longing for each other. And of course, Penny has a daughter who's in her teens. So then we get to meet all the pilots. And of course, Miles Teller plays Rooster. Bradley Bradshaw, who is the son of Goose from the first movie, played by the great Anthony Edwards. Miles Teller was a great casting for this movie. The way they made him up, he looks like he could be Anthony Edwards' son. And I said that to my wife. I go, he looks like, you see, and I'll show you pictures here in a second. You can see that he looks like he could be related to Goose, which is a bit of cast. And Miles Teller's a great actor too. So that's the story. So you got the special mission crew, Maverick's back to teach them, and of course things happen. There's drama, and then of course we get the finale, the last third of the movie, which is the mission, which I'll get to later, because that is something that is totally phenomenal. If you have not seen the movie, you need to see this on the big screen, especially because of the ending or any of the flight sequences in this movie. All right, so now let's talk about pacing. So I'm not doing any numbers here, now, and you'll probably guess why here in a little bit. It's pretty obvious. But then again, pacing, I would, it's the perfect pacing. Obviously, it is going to be slower in the beginning because you're establishing plot and what's happening and what's going to happen. And then of course you get into the training, and everything, and then of course you have the finale. So it's basically a 3-prong attack when it comes to pacing. So again, there might be some people who will say that the beginning is slow, but I don't agree with that, because even though there's not aerial fighting like within the first half an hour, it's still establishing the plot and the characters, and it's really, and it engrosses you, like, especially if you're a fan of Top Gun, you will not be bored with this movie. And then again, from there, it's the pedal to the metal, and it just takes off, and it never lets up, and the action is on the ground as opposed to what's in the air. You really can't beat it. And like I said, so basically what I'm saying is there was never a wasted moment in this movie. All right, every scene needed to be. So again, I think somebody could argue with me. Go right ahead, argue away. But I think that every scene that was in this movie was needed to make this movie the movie that it was. So I applaud that. Now I'm gonna skip action, okay, and because that's the cherry on top and the icing on the cake. Okay? So we'll get into that later. So let's talk about characters. And again, obviously you got the handful of characters that are the meat of the story, and you got side characters. So there's like 12 pilots in the program. So obviously not all the pilots get a big or giving a lot to do, but that's fine, but everybody in this movie is all in. Their performances are great. There's nobody in here where you'll be like, because you could always pick that one character or that one actor or actress, in a movie. Everybody does their job and they do it sensational. And even though you don't know the backdrops of everybody, obviously you're not going to get the backdrops of some of the pilots and everything, but that's fine. You don't need to, because, throughout the training and everything, you get to know them, as they are. So let's go into some of the characters. So, and then, of course, I use IMDb because I love IMDb because it gives you all of them. So, first of all, we got Monica Barbaro, who plays Phoenix. She's the female of the group, and there's another female in there too. But she's tough-willed. She's no damsel. She's an air fight. She's a naval aviator, so she can hold her own just as well with the boys. So Monica does a great job, with her character, and being the only the female that makes the mission and to go on the mission. And of course, you got Miles Teller, who plays Rooster. Again, like I said before, he looks like he could be related. He looks like he could be the son of Anthony Edwards. So my remote keeps dropping. Sorry, but yeah. So again, we all know that Miles Teller is a hang on, I accidentally pushed the button here. Live TV, you gotta love it. So Miles Teller is, and his arc with Maverick is sensational. Obviously, there's tension between the two, and actually, you think it's because of what happened with Rooster's dad. Obviously, he died while they're Top Gun, in the first movie, and which it wasn't Maverick's fault. But you think that he resented him for that aspect. And it's not so much that. It's because Maverick pulled his admission to the Naval Academy, which set his career back. And there's a big plot line to that. So that's really what is getting at Rooster here. So yes, it's that his dad died, but Maverick pulled his admission to the Naval Academy, and basically what that boils down to is his mom, who we learn has died. She's no longer living. She was played by Meg Ryan in the first movie. Asked Maverick to do that because she didn't want him to fly. She didn't want the same thing that happened to him that happened to her husband. All right, so that was the underlying cause. And again, if you're watching, I said spoiler alert, so so stop watching if you haven't seen the movie, because I'm talking about it all because I have to. So yeah, so that's the biggest thing between the two, and their scenes together are sensational. I'll talk about the ending. So yeah, so again, Miles Teller is sensational in it. You get Louis Pullman, who plays Bob. Bob is Phoenix's rear. And it's funny because that's his call sign. That's funny because at the beginning in the bar, they're like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Bob." They're like, "No, what's your call sign?" He's like, "Bob." They're like, ugh. So they're like, and he's Bob, and it's great, and he's great in the movie. Then you got Danny Ramirez, who plays Fanboy. He's the rear to Payback, who is played by Jay Ellis. So that's the crew that makes that Maverick chooses for the mission. And again, they're all great. And then you get John Hamm, who plays Cyclone Simpson, the admiral that pretty much wants to shut down Maverick because he thinks he's a fossil, and he's basically kind of like in with Admiral Kane, and he doesn't want to have to deal with Maverick. So John Hamm is, again, I'm using the word sensational a lot, but I mean, everybody does a great job in this movie. There's not one person that you're like, oh, it's like it. And then of course, you get Glenn Powell, who plays Hangman, and we all know, and here he is right here. And we all know Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell was in the infamous Expendables 3. He played Thorne, the computer expert. you know, which again, I like Expendables 3. Sue me. Yeah, let me get my thoughts here. Sorry, and again, I apologize for when, you know, I have to recover. So we're talking about Hangman, and of course, he's the Iceman of this movie. And some people would say, like, oh, yeah, you know, but no, it's not the same as Iceman and Maverick. It's different. Like, there's history between Hangman and Rooster. You know, they don't really, you know, go into it or anything, you know, but obviously, you know, and Hangman is one of those guys that, you know, he's like, basically, I felt he was like Maverick in the first one. He had swagger, you know, he thinks his shit doesn't stink, you know, he thinks he's the greatest fighter pilot alive, you know, and of course, his character arc changes, you know, because you know he's and you know, Phoenix says, you know, that's why his call sign's Hangman, because he'll leave you out hanging dry, you know. So, but of course, at the end, you know, he comes, it comes in and pretty much saves the day. So again, a great performance by Glenn Powell. And I can't say enough good things about the cast. Like I said, they were all picked for a certain reason, and they all deliver. Of course, Maverick is Maverick. And now let's talk about the great Val Kilmer. And again, I said this on my live stream the other day, where that was the one thing I was the most curious about. How would they plug Val Kilmer into this movie? Because we all know Val Kilmer has been suffering some pretty severe health issues in recent years. But so basically, he's, you know, we all know he's the commander of the fleet, but he's sick in this movie as well. So you know, at first Maverick is texting with Ice, you know, and they have conversations, and you know, and then Maverick's basically like, why'd you bring me here? You know, he's like, I need, you know, basically Iceman knows he's the best man to teach these kids how to do what he can do. Okay. And then finally, Iceman says, I need to see you. And then Maverick goes to him, and we meet Iceman's wife, and he looks at her and he says, it's back, isn't it? And she says, yes. And they hug. So we know he's sick. So evidently he had cancer. Like I believe Val Kilmer suffering from throat cancer in real life. And he can't talk. It's painful for him to talk. So they incorporated that into it. So we have this great scene. And this is, besides the aerial sequences in this movie, the best scene of the movie is where Maverick comes face to face with Iceman, and you can see how much the relationship has evolved over years in just this one scene, and it brought tears to my eyes. I'm kind of getting misty-eyed talking about it, because it's such a great scene. And at first, you know, Iceman's typing, you know, when he's talking to Maverick, because he can't speak, you know, it hurts to speak. And, you know, he's telling them that, you know, it's time to let go, you know, and the one thing about this movie is we learn that Maverick still has issues for what happened to Goose, you know. He still, you know, has this, you know, this rope that's tied to him that's pulling him back, you know, because of what happened to Goose. And Iceman basically tells him, you got to let it go. You got, you know, it wasn't your fault. You know, you got to stop beating yourself over it. You know, it's been years, you know, stop. And then Maverick's like, I don't know how to, you know, and it's such a touching scene. And then finally Val starts talking, you know, he actually speaks, and, you know, obviously, you know, it's grizzled and grainy, you know, but you can tell he wanted to talk in this movie. And then they just have a great scene. And then it ends with Iceman, they hug, and then Iceman says one more thing. He says, who's the better pilot? And then Maverick just simply says, he's like, this is a wonderful moment. Let's not ruin it. And it's just such a great scene. It's so, I can't tell you how, you know, oh my God, it's an awesome scene. So that's the characters. And again, there's Hondo, the one, I can't remember the actor's name. So let me look him up here. My apologies. Again, I've only seen the movie once. Obviously, I'll watch it way more. Oh yeah, Bashir Salahuddin. There you go. He plays Bernie Hondo Coleman, who's basically I would say he's Maverick's best friend, you know, nowadays. Yeah, and he does a great job, even with his scenes with Maverick. Sorry. So I'll get there eventually. Like I said, I have some speaking problems, you know, and stuff, but I'm plugging along. All right. So that's character. So now let's talk about action, because of course overall enjoyment's the last part about it. If I could give this more than a 2, I would give this frickin' 200. Oh my! Again, okay, and again, quote me. This is the best aerial combat movie ever made. Unquote. Change my mind. You won't be able to. There's no way you can argue how this is not the best aerial combat movie ever. They're actually in the jets. And again, we knew this. You know, Tom Cruise did not want to make the sequel to Top Gun unless the technology was there to do it right. And they did it right. And it's phenomenal. It's friggin-tastic. All the sequences, and you're there, especially watching it on the big screen with the sound and the visuals. Again, I can't sit here and tell you. I mean, even when you've seen the trailers, because I know you've seen the trailers if you haven't seen the movie yet, does not do it justice. Obviously, you see some of the scenes, you know, in the trailers of them in the jets and everything. It is beautiful and extreme all at the same time. It is nothing short of fantastic what they accomplished with the sequences in this movie. The cameras are there, they're in the jets, and I want to know, because obviously the actors aren't flying the jets, so there's somebody in there, but they make it look like they're flying the jets, and it's phenomenal how they did this. And then of course you get all the training sequences, you know, throughout the middle part of the movie, which are Fargantastic. You know, I won't say the F word online. I could, but you know, I won't. I have said it in the past. But and just like, you know, and it's funny because, like, you know, Maverick's teaching him, and he says, you know, his thing is, you know, if I get you, if I get lock on you, you got to do 200 push-ups. And he's just, every time they go up, he's like lock on, or he says, you know, and he's getting everybody, and everybody has to do push-ups and everything, and that's a funny scene in the movie. But yeah, the aerial sequences are enough. It's just a thing of beauty. I mean, it's the best thing to actually being in that cockpit and experiencing it for yourself. And I can't. Again, words don't do it. I can sit there and come up with all these fancy words, and you've probably read reviews where everybody's coming up with all these fancy words, you know. But it's just phenomenal, astounding, spectacular. I mean, what other adjectives can I use? I don't think I use them all, because this movie deserves it. And then now let's go into the finale. The finale, where they execute the mission, is the most taut, tense-filled. I was gripping my chair. It's that intense of a sequence. And there's more to it than just the initial mission. And again, spoiler alert, I'm going into spoilers in this review, so don't get mad at me, because I warned you, I have it in the title. And I said it at the beginning, and I said it at the middle. So they execute the mission, and they drop the bomb. And again, it's kind of Star Wars-esque, you know, from the first Star Wars, where they had they shoot the missiles in a little hole, you know, So this one's the same thing. It's on the ground, but they have to shoot the first round of missiles to open up the target, and then they have to shoot the next round of missiles to get it in there to blow up the whole compound. And they call it the Miracle 1 and the Miracle 2, because the first miracle is shooting the missiles to blow up the entrance, and then the second miracle is to get the missiles, like Luke had to shoot into the hole to destroy the Death Star. This is the same type of thing. So that's what I got that's what I thought of while watching this movie. And again, that's not a bad thing. You know, movies are supposed to remind you of other great movies, you know, if it's done right. So they execute that, and they succeed, but then they have to, once they go up over the hill, there's SAM missiles, that's why they had to fly so low, to fly underneath the surface to air missiles. But once they get up over the cliff that they have to fly over, the SAMs see them, and they start shooting at them now, and then they have to avoid it. And it's just a spectacular sequence with them avoiding, and they're shooting flares, and the jets are, you know, doing rolls and dives, and the missiles are shooting, and then Maverick is in front of Rooster, and Rooster's about to get shot down because he has no more flares. Maverick does this thing where he puts on his brakes and goes over Rooster and shoots the flares, and you saw it in one of the trailers actually, and sacrifices himself because then he gets hit and he goes down, and you're like, oh shit, what happened? And then Maverick got shot down, so everybody's like, they want to go back for him, but they're like, no, you can't. You got to get out of there. And then so. Okay, so we got a comment here. I saw this movie 3 times. I love the movie. I even thought it was better than the original. There you go. That's from Josh. Thanks for watching, Josh. Yeah. So again, Josh, you know how much I love the movie. But yeah, so Maverick gets shot down. Of course, Rooster goes back for him, and then there's another sequence where they're both shot down, and there's a great scene between them. When they first meet up again, and then basically still an F-14 that the bad guys have, and it's an older jet, and then there's another aerial dogfight sequence. It's just it gives you more for your buck. In that you think that it's only going to be the initial mission, but then this whole other thing happens, and it's just truly a spectacular finale. I can't talk how great it is enough. You got to go see it for yourself and watch it 5,000 times. Josh has already seen it 3 times. God bless you, Josh. I only got to see it once so far. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, I can't say enough good thing about the action. If I could give it a freaking 2,000, I would give it a 2,000. So yeah. Overall enjoyment's the ending of it. So what do you think I'm going to say? So again, this is the thing. It all goes back to, does a movie give you what it promises it would? That's what it comes. That's what it comes down to. Sorry. So yes, it does. Top Gun Maverick not only gives you what it said it's going to, but it gives you so much more. And this is, like I said, it's a Mach 10 induced cinematic religious experience. It's that good. I don't see, if I want to talk to somebody who did not like this movie, and I just want to pick their brains and be like, what did you not like about this movie? Yeah, and you can nitpick, obviously at the end, we all know Hangman's going to come in and do something because, that's how it always goes. So there's things, because my friend said the same thing. He's like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. And I basically told him, don't ruin my buzz. Don't ruin my buzz. You can't ruin my buzz. I mean, no movies. Yeah, obviously there's things you can see coming, but I don't care. It was done so great that, it gets a pass. And it's just phenomenal on so many levels. So there you go. That's overall enjoyment. So I think you know where I'm going with this. Again, a lot of people don't want to give perfect scores to movies because they're like, I don't care. If a movie deserves it, I'll give it a perfect score. That doesn't mean I like it more than one other movie, like Aliens or that is that. But Top Gun Maverick deserves a 10 out of 10, and that's what I'm giving it. It's 2s on the board. I mean, every aspect of the movie, they did more than they had to, and they did such a phenomenal job to cast the crew. The aerial sequences, it is that good, people. It is that. I mean, like I said, I talked to somebody on Facebook. I said this was the first movie I saw in a theater, and I haven't been able to go to the theater that much, since I've been suffering from my disorder. But this was the first movie when it was over and I walked out. I wanted to go right back in and watch it again. I was like, I told my wife, I was like, can we go back in and watch it? Of course we all laughed and everything, but I really wanted to. I can't wait to see this movie again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go see it again in the theaters, which sucks, but I'll be there with when it comes out, and again, I'll wait for it to come out on, the 4K Blu-ray, And yeah, so I can't say enough good things about this. Like I said, that's my title of my review. Top Gun Maverick is a Mach 10 induced cinematic religious experience, bar none, hands down. The best. This has to be one of the best movies of the year, and it should be nominated for Academy Awards. And again, I know the Academy doesn't like blockbusters or movies that make a lot of money, but there's no reason why this movie can't be considered a contender for best movie of the year. No reason why. And Academy, if you don't nominate this for best picture, then we know that you're biased to like all the artsy films and stuff like that. There have been examples throughout the time where they have like Dark Knight Returns and stuff like that, or The Dark Knight and stuff like that. But for the most part, you know, I'm not gonna lie. Every time I haven't watched the Academy Awards in years, and every time I see what the best picture was, I'm like, I have no idea what that movie is. And I'm a movie lover, you know. So yeah. So there's no reason why this movie should not be considered for best picture. It is definitely a leading contender for my number one pick of the year. You know, we're going into June, so obviously there's a lot of the year left. But I don't see. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of movies that I'm going to like and maybe even love, but I don't see how this can surpass Top Gun Maverick. It's that sensational of a movie. All right, so I've talked about it enough. I don't know how much more love I can get. Like I said, this was going to be just a big love fest, you know, to Top Gun Maverick, because as a fan who has been there from the beginning, and I got my Top Gun shirt on again. I wish I had a hat. I didn't get a hat though. I should have a Top Gun hat, but I don't. But yeah, so can't say enough good things about this movie. Like I said, later on I'm going to do a podcast for my audio podcast. And so they're going to be up on both, and then of course I'll put both on my site, because this is how I'm doing my reviews, you know, from suffering from my neurological disorder. It's hard to write, you know, so I'm doing my reviews via the podcast, which is great. Like I said, I might continue doing this if I ever, you know, get over this, you know, and get back to who I was. Yeah. So Top Gun Maverick now playing in theaters. Obviously, it's going to make a buttload of money, you know. And here's another thing. And I'm glad I remembered this. I wanted to talk about this. This movie's going to make a lot of money. It's already, I don't know, it's well over 100 million. I hear it's going to make this weekend alone. But because there's going to be talk of doing a sequel. No, don't do a sequel, because this is the perfect ending to Maverick's story, how it ends. And then, okay, let me go back to the ending. After they come back from the mission, you know, there's, you know, it's like at the end of the first one where, you know, all the crew and stuff are congratulating them, and they're congratulating these others. And again, Rooster and Maverick have this wonderful scene. And I looked over at my wife, and I was crying, because I was like, Maverick got his goose back. So obviously, you know, Rooster and Maverick make up, and they're going to have a relationship now. So obvious, and it's just so touching and so sincere. And I said, he got his goose back. And that was like the icing on the cake. And but yeah, they don't need to do a sequel. They don't need to make any more. And they might. I mean, Tom Cruise, I mean, he's going to be 60, so you know, he's doing his Mission Impossible thing, you know. But Top Gun does not need a third movie. This was the sequel we deserved. This was the sequel we wanted, and this is the sequel that we got, and it's perfection. Don't do it again. End it. It's perfect. He gets Penny. You know, they fly off into the sunset, literally, in his biplane, and you know, he made up with Rooster. He got his goose back, like I said, you know. And then the song from Lady Gaga starts playing, and then it does the same thing with the credits, where it shows the characters, you know, the actors, and it says who they are, just like in the first one, when Lady Gaga's the song's playing. And I think, and again, this is another unpopular opinion, I think I enjoy Hold My Hand from Lady Gaga more than Take My Breath Away from the first movie. I think it's a more powerful song than that one was, and I have it on my playlist, and I listen to it all the time. And I love that. And it's perfect how they ended it. It's perfect what they did with it. You know, will they ever do a movie where, you know, the cameras, because I'm sure it's expensive. But yeah, so just let it go. And not to use that phrase, but yeah, it's the perfect ending to Maverick's story arc, and just let it lie. You know, don't do another one. We have Top Gun, we have Top Gun Maverick, the perfect blending of movies, if you will. Of course, the first one was made in '86, so obviously, you know, and again, this one and again, I'm not saying anything against the original, but this one blows it away. You know, there's no question of how this movie blows the first one away. And even my wife said that. She's like, I like the first one. She said this movie was sensational. She's like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, you're right. So there you go. I can't talk about it all day. I want to go see it again, but I have to wait. So if you haven't seen it yet, again, spoilers, I that was the only way to talk about the movie. It's ACTION-FLIX approved on so many levels. Like, this is probably my most ACTION-FLIX approved movie that I've ever talked about. A perfect 10 out of 10 for me. It deserves it. And it is something to see. And the summer blockbuster is back, and it's just so. And again, in this time, there's a lot of bad things happening in the world, and I won't, again, what we had going on last week. The world needed Top Gun Maverick to come out now. It's like, it's the perfect movie to just go and forget your troubles or whatever's happening in the world and just watch this sensational friggin' movie that just rocks from beginning to end. And it's just a love letter to every fan that has loved the first one. So there you go. I can't say enough good things about it. So there you go. I'm going to end the podcast. I'm not going to keep reiterating what I kept saying. So if you haven't seen the movie, check it out. Like I said, you got to see it on the big screen. This is it's a cinematic spectacle that you have to see on the biggest screen possible. And I was just mad I didn't get to see it in IMAX, but that's how it goes. All right. So until next time. So normally I do my ACTION-FLIX live shows at night, but today I was able to do this one earlier, and I wanted to get my thoughts out there on the Top Gun movie. So I might be back tomorrow, like I said. I will let you know, and I'll be doing my podcast over on Anchor, where I'll be doing the same thing. And I got another movie that I just did a podcast for, but I can't release it until tomorrow, for Wolfhound. I talked about that the other day, a World War II movie that was pretty good, for being a direct-to-video movie. So that's coming out too. And then remember, we're on break from the Action Elite Live. Owen Frill and the Action Elite, he's on vacation in Scotland visiting his family, having a great time. So that's been pushed back. We usually do those every week, and we're gonna be doing Excalibur, I believe, when he comes back. We'll keep you posted when that's gonna happen. And then also, let me give a shout out to Charlie Chase, give me back my action movies and give me back my horror movies. He does the podcast that you can hear on Spotify. Great guy, loves movies like we do, loves action movies like we do. And he's been a guest on the Action Elite Live War Room, a bunch of times now, and just a great guy to talk to. He was also I got him on my ACTION-FLIX Live when I first started out. We talked about the ninjas. Hopefully I'll be able to do his podcast, maybe talk about some action movies, because I just love talking action movies. So check him out. Give me back my action movies, or give me back my horror movies. They do one so they do an action movie, and then the next week they'll do a horror movie, so they switch back and forth, that type of thing. So there you go. Yeah, so like and subscribe to me. So the button down there. Like and subscribe to Owen at the Action Elite, and Charlie Chase doing his thing over on Spotify with Give Me Back My Action Movies and Give Me Back My Horror Movies. All right, there you go. So until next time, we are your destination for everything action in 2022 and beyond, except no substitutes. This is John Jervis signing off for today, saying go see Top Gun Maverick. This movie is a rocking good time. And if you love movies that are adrenaline induced, sweat inducing, that has heart, it has emotion. I forgot to say that earlier on. It has more heart, it has more emotion than the first one does, so much more. And it's just a great way to end the story. And I think they should end it here. Just let it go and just leave it be. You can't get better than this movie, so don't even try. All right, so until next time, peace. All right, be kind to one another. Treat everyone as you would want to be treated, and just right now with everything that's going on in the world, just be nice and be kind and say hi to everybody. Okay, all right, I'll talk to you later. This is John Jervis signing off, and as you see, I'm gonna hit my hand and I'm done.